This one will take a little longer than usual, so we'll get there. Welcome to Making of a Marketer, Monday afternoon. Jess and Andy, we're here. It's been a little bit, Jess, so I know that, a week and a half, it can feel like in our AI generation or a marketing speed generation, that could be like a month and a half of like a few years ago. So, first off, what's been going on? What have you learned? What's new? How's things vibing over these last several days?
Oh boy, I mean, you're right, Andy. It feels like it's been a while. I think there's a lot going on right now. I haven't looked into it in more detail, but I heard about the CEO of Air Canada, and I fully don't know what happened yet, but I'm hearing that now, just based on the communications that he gave last week, he's now going to resign. So I need to look more into that, but that made me think of Cindy and
Yeah.
how right now in this world, like you said, the communication, regardless of what level you are at an organization, is now more crucial than ever. So that's
Yeah.
that's just something top of mind that I've seen.
I'll have to Google that. I haven't been on it. I would say that since our McDonald's conversations that we were having a few weeks ago, I've been a little bit under a rock. Like, I don't know. Do you ever have that, Jess, where there are like weeks you're dialed in every marketing story, and then there's others, you know what? Like, I'm going to take a breather and. I've been doing my music production lessons. I went to Texas to see my family. Like, I've been, I guess, dabbling, but I think it's healthy too. I go kind of in and out at times where I'm really dialed in, and there's other times like I'm dialed out and I'm like, hey, what now? Like, what happened? So it's probably like where I'm at right now as I catch back up.
I think being under a rock or pulling away is one of the best things you possibly can do. I wish we could get to the status where we do the true social screen detox,
Yes.
where there's nothing. And then when you think about that, it's like you're so tied, or maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but you think about, okay, how can I really execute on a true detox? And then you think, well, we've got apps that are tied to things with our home. You have to check bills online, like all these things where you think, can
Yeah.
you really sustain it?
Do it. And
For
I think it's the right balance. Like I've talked about like detox before, and I've heard other people be like, yeah, I went onto a mountain and went in a tent and like stayed in there and didn't leave the cave for like 3 days. And well, I'm sure there's a power to it, but I'm like, if you were to dial that down like 25 like ranks for me, like how would you suggest it? So I think everybody's like different. I'm the one that has like the self control over the apps. Like people are like, Andy, you got really good self control. We've talked about that before. Just I can check the bank and not check anything. Like I can go straight off of it and not hit Facebook because I was in my phone. But that's just too many years of being a social media manager because I had to get off of it. When you're on that app for 9, 10 hours plus a day, you don't get on it when you get home. So that made it easier for me, but that was the 2010s that got me into that mode.
Well, and this is something, again, have not looked into it in more detail, but top of mind, you just mentioned it. Something else also happened last week where Mark Zuckerberg was talking about now how social media absolutely destructive to our youth. So talking about Facebook and you being on it for many hours.
Yep. I know that that's been an ongoing court case too in some different regards, but again, like it's none of it's surprising to me. I grew up with this. It's my career. I like to say we were like throwing darts at the wall using Facebook in the 20s and trying to design a career around it. So it's all learning as we go, and we'll continue learning because the conversation will be important today as we continue our focus on what is the humanized AI world, if you will. And we are welcoming one of your colleagues, Jess Scott Zimmer, to the program today. He is the CEO and founder of Answers From Me. And Jess, I know that you've had some background at the Stanford D School, so I'll allow you to kind of give maybe a little bit of a broader introduction. But Scott's super excited to have you on, and we're going to try a whole new segment with you today. So I hope you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready for anything. Great to be here.
Yeah, I'm so happy Scott is on, and I'll just give you just a quick takeaway about Scott. Like Scott is one of those people where if I'm lucky enough to be in a space right next to his team space, I'm that lurker. I'm that person that listens in because I want to hear what Scott is telling his team because I'm learning from it and getting better. So yeah, I like, there's some coaches that I like to do this with, and Scott's one of them.
Awesome. Too kind.
Scott, take us now through, give us maybe your like 1 minute, 30-second introduction, Answers From Me, your background, your marketing world, how it all comes together, and where are we at now in your journey here today?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. And hello to our audience out there. What Jess is referring to is she and I are both blessed to be D School coaches, teaching design thinking a few times a year at the D School. And I've done it for a long time now. It's roughly 10 years, and it matches a big part of me, which is I love to be a part of knowledge transfer. I love to be able to help people discover new things. And I just ended up with that as being one of the superpowers I had as I was a senior executive leader throughout my career. So was lucky enough to lead all of design, like found the team and lead all of design at Capital One. So hello to anyone out there from that team. And was chief experience officer at Verizon, where we also launched a centralized design team, but we had research and product and other fantastic parts of our team there. And then most recently did it at Truist before stepping away to my ultimate dream, which is where I am now, which is founding a company that really positions those who know to share what they know, even if they don't have capacity. So we thought, what if AI could help with that? And we built a prototype over a long weekend and an MVP in a few weeks together with my co-founder, Andy Jenkins. And it's amazing what RAG AI can do that LLMs cannot do. So maybe we'll get into a little bit of that throughout the course of this conversation. But we just believe it's so exciting now to not just replace human knowledge, but unleash the knowledge of real humans.
So first, Scott, we're going to get deep into what we're calling this like the humanity of AI episode. And I think it's good because all of our experiences here in this room, we started before obviously the generative AI, and I always like to say, well, AI's existed, but it hasn't existed like this. Like AI is not new, but this version of AI is kind of new, but we've existed in a world where this wasn't like the main talking point. So real curious how you bring that together for your company, and most importantly, take that human note that we're all looking for. But to start us off, we're going to do our rapid fire 2-minute exercise here suggested by Jess. And this is something that we used to do a little bit in radio here and there. So I was excited to see it make a comeback. But Scott, we are going to go through 10 questions, and we want your just quick fire, short, 5-10 word or less answer to each of these questions. And the first thing that pops in your head.
All right.
All right, here we go. The most copy paste sentence on LinkedIn right now.
As far as the creators copying and pasting, I think it would be something like, my team's going to kill me for doing this, but comment XYZ and I'll share the entire thing with you for free.
What's a thought leader move that instantly makes you scroll?
That's the thought leader move that makes me scroll instantly. However, I'm a victim, just the same as I may click on a bench clearing brawl on my ESPN app. I'll often click on or comment XYZ just to see what they're offering. And then it messes up my algorithm.
Finish this sentence. Authenticity online is basically blank.
A rare differentiator.
What's the cleanest looking content that's secretly dead inside?
A post that has a space between every line, because people don't really share their perspectives that way.
Where do smart people start cosplaying confidence?
Well, if that means, where does the fake confidence come in? I would say anytime a creator is on a gerbil wheel feeling like they've got to come up with something multiple times a day, it tends to lead them to overextend and pretend that they know more about a topic than they have time to personally go deep in.
AI, the laziest way people use it and the best way people use it.
Laziest way is leveraging AI to make a draft for you, and then forgetting to actually spend the time to edit that draft and then posting it with things that you would never want to see go live. I recently read a post from someone who was recommending don't delegate important things to AI. And in the post, halfway down, was a line that said, "And the uncomfortable truth, question mark, which is a telltale sign of AI content, if you guys have noticed that too. Yeah. So I DM'd him, directly DM'd him. He's a former colleague, and said, "Hey, your whole post is about not deferring to AI, and you have the comment in there proving to your readers that you let AI write the post." And he said, "Oh my gosh, thank you." So he's changed it since then.
What's the first thing AI makes people stop doing, which you might have just answered that they shouldn't?
Actually, I would say readers stop being deeply discerning about what they're reading because of the confidence AI has in its answers. So be deeply discerning because you can't believe it.
What's an underrated credibility flex that isn't a follower count?
If you ever read a post that someone is actually offering something genuinely useful, and then there's no strings attached at the end, that's a total flex. That's them saying, "I don't even need you to follow or like or anything else. I just wanted to share."
What breaks first, your trust or your attention span?
My trust breaks very quickly. So that would be it. I wish my attention span broke more quickly as I'm in my doom scrolling modes.
If the algorithm disappeared for 30 days, so no algorithm at all on the channel, we're thinking like 2010 Twitter right here, what would you be willing to say?
I hope I would still be willing to stand up for things I believe in. I really appreciate Anthropic's recent stand, for example.
There you go. I loved it. It's fun. It hit it about 3.5 minutes. So Scott, we timed it long, but it still served the purpose. Thank you for being our beta tester today on this humanized, old school radio rapid fire question segment.
That was good. Thanks for letting me offer an example, even if it caused us to go long.
That was perfect. I think we're proving here that Scott is onto something,
Yeah.
and critical thinking is one of the most differentiating skills that we all need to maintain. Like, I really feel like we are in this moment where it's just so fake around us. Like, everything is so fake. And it's like now it's like you gotta get back to breaking
Yeah.
through human to human,
Yeah.
having these interactions.
Yeah, I mean, we really believe that. We really believe we're all going to swing back towards seeking out human connection and seeking out authentic human perspectives. And all the rest of the fakeness can exist and it'll have its place, you know, but it's going to make human to human more important than ever.
So, Scott, now let's take this to the world of AI and let's dive a lot deeper from some of what you've given us already. And, we can take this back to a little bit of the metaverse and obviously Mark Zuckerberg's vision of the metaverse. This goes back a while because I remember doing social media before even Facebook was the several multi-billion-dollar industry. I remember metaverses being talked about in 2015, 2016. And it at that point existed as this I don't know if we fully understand. Are we putting a headset on? Are we living in Terminator, Skynet? Like what is all of this? And then now we get into the more AI front roles here where it's a lot more in our face. But I think what we're trying to solve is not necessarily living in the metaverse, but trying to live in a world where, hey, this is something that assists our day to day. And this is something that helps me do X and Y, whether it's a business to business solution or just simply something that, hey, I did my taxes yesterday and some of the AI components to TurboTax actually got it done quicker. So that's a selling point for me. I don't got to sit around 3 hours doing this. So curious right now, how you're feeling about that and how does that really start to function on answers from me and the things you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty huge news that the company that named themselves after the metaverse, Meta, is now declaring that they're going away from it. We saw 3-4 weeks ago, Block announced 40% layoffs as well, and they're the company that renamed themselves to sound more like blockchain, right? So now we've got a clear pattern of if any companies are going to rename themselves, to match the artificial intelligence wave they see, they're probably in trouble. But fortunately, no one has. I think it's a much bigger wave. I don't think this is going to be a temporary thing that goes away. And the way we look at it, the most important thing we humans can all do is recognize that this is Gen AI. That's the current wave. I mean, we all round off to saying it's AI, but it's really Gen AI. And Gen AI via LLMs are really great at some things, and they're really terrible at other things. And so I think we'll all start to realize that. Maybe as we see some companies rename themselves, we'll see. But as we all identify, what Gen AI is really great at and what it's not great at, I think it's going to affect our behavior and our consumption moving forward. And hopefully life will get better despite the doomsayer headlines that we're reading. But I'm certainly collecting, optimistic headlines, and those are out there as well.
Yeah, Scott, this is also very timely as well. The topic of discussion on the LinkedIn side, every organization wants to know about LinkedIn and LLMs. They're just like, it's like this is the topic of focus right now. Like we hear it every day. So tell us more about LLMs, the other AI that you mentioned. That's the first time that I've heard about it. So I need to learn.
Well, I guess I would say since I've been a founder in this space, I've been invited to do some talks to different audiences, and so I've followed my passion, which is describing things in a way that's easily consumable. And one of the most important ways I love to shock an audience is to say in 2017 we actually, my team at Capital One actually had a conference, and we named it Humanity.ai. We were so proud of ourselves. We invited all these representatives from companies that were creating chatbots, including Slack, including Facebook, including all the places. And throughout an entire day of speakers, the number one theme was, if you want to future-proof your own skill set, learn how to be creative, because AI will never be able to be creative. And now here we are, Gen AI is creative. The whole thing it does is it's creative. The whole thing researchers and labs have taught it to do is based on math still, come up with potential options, score those options, and then recommend, the most likely option. So the wave of LLMs that we're all experiencing that's so magical, it's really sentence completion. It's really like I walk down the street and then based on every bit of context you've fed it or not fed it, it will finish that sentence. And it turns out that if you train it on the entire internet, preferring a couple sources, like Reddit, unfortunately is in 40% of citations. But if you train it on massive data sets, it does an amazing job of guessing the answer to anything you ask it, which is amazing for all of us, including if you're doing taxes, including if you're seeking more information on things, but you can't believe it because it's just guessing. It doesn't have any real knowledge. So that's super important for everyone as we start to use LLMs more and more. There is a technology that relates to it, which is called RAG. That's the technology that we're leveraging with Answers From Me. It's also a technology you'll find at the core of NotebookLM. It basically allows you to assemble a knowledge base of true knowledge, of authenticated, curated knowledge. And then when you ask a question, RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. It pulls context from that knowledge base into the prompt, and then it circles back and answers the question. And what that does is it dramatically increases the accuracy of the answers, because now you're giving the LLM phenomenal context to answer correctly. Not only phenomenal context, but controlled context. So you can start to differentiate answers between one human's RAG system and another human's RAG system. They'll actually offer distinct perspectives, distinct point of views. Which doesn't really happen in the LLM world. If you go out and ask the same question of 2 or 3 LLMs, you'll get undistinct answers, and they'll be generic because they're averaging the entire internet to give you an answer that is most likely to make you happy, which is something a lot of us have seen firsthand. So really important for all of us as humans to understand this, really important for kids to be learning this in school. Like, you're not going to have an LLM write your essay or your term paper if you realize that it's generic and it's averaging the entire internet and it has no qualms about making stuff up. Of course, we all have heard the term hallucination, but it helps to understand why it hallucinates, because it's just being creative against all odds.
So, Scott, something that I see happening, and I'm always one of these history repeats itself in the marketing world, but it repeats itself in new fashions. So me sitting in more of the creative content lens here at LinkedIn and how we consult our teams, like a lot of things come up. What are current best practices? Like, that's the common question, no matter what genre of marketing we're in, that comes up a lot. And I can remember a day in the 2017-ish range where I made a pivot creatively because we started learning that dark imagery was performing better on social media, because for so long everybody had been using the neon greens and everything. So we turned everything dark for every client, and all the clicks like skyrocketed right off the bat because it set itself apart. So people are going to go to these LLMs. They're going to be in a creative marketing world. They're going to be looking for what is that angle or that thing they can do that meets the best practices, that gets them ahead. And what I already see happening, Scott, is it's going to be something where maybe you get ahead right now, but then everybody does the same thing for the next 2 years, and all of a sudden your imagery or your marketing is now the white noise. It was innovative and now it's white noise. And Jess and I talk about this a lot with like Super Bowl. Like there's stuff that would have worked at one time, but now it's just all kind of regurgitated. So kind of call that either the overproduction or that, or things are just getting lost. How would you go about, and you already touched on this a little bit, how would you go about AI and to not just get into that regurgitation of what everybody else is doing and how they're producing marketing from an AI tool?
Yeah, well, it turns out the more time we all spend consuming content that's produced by others who lean really heavily on AI to create it, the more easily we're recognizing what starts to feel like generic content. So it's generic when it doesn't take a big stand. It's generic when it doesn't really articulate perspectives of an author or a content creator. And one of the things that we see sets great content apart, and I don't know that this will ever go anywhere, but in the right direction, is content that feels authentic. And not only authentic, but content that feels bespoke to you as an audience. So one of the most tricky things for anyone posting anywhere is that they're trying to appeal to a broad audience. In order to do that, they have to be a little bit generic. So the more opportunities they have to be specific and to narrow in, and this just used to be called target marketing. Now we talk about our ICP, but the more you can nail the context so that your specific audience says, wow, I feel like he or she is talking directly to me. I think that's going to be the unlock that's not going to go away, because it's how we feel in interpersonal relationships as well.
And I'm really curious, how are you doing this with the influencers that you have in your group? Like, are you helping them structure their content in a certain way, or hitting on certain points? Like, how does this come to life?
Well, for what we're doing with Answers from Me, we've created the ability for any piece of content to be an on-ramp to a conversation with the expert you admire. So we actually still have a lot of respect and reverence for content. I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's a pretty special thing to discover new views by scrolling through a feed. Even if those views are all oriented towards a broader audience. But what gets really special is if you latch onto something, you're like, whoa, the view she just shared is amazing. However, it was to a pretty broad audience. I wonder what she would say about my specific situation. Today, the only way you can get that, if you're on LinkedIn, you can try to DM her, send her a message. You could maybe try to track down an email address, or maybe try to reach out, personally. But if someone has a large audience, you're not getting through to them really in any of those three ways, because the experts that we admire most are also the experts that are most capacity constrained. So what we're trying to unlock with Answers from Me is, how can we give someone, a reader, the ability to click and engage in a conversation that gives them the expert's point of view as it relates to their unique situation. And that's what AI is capable of doing. You ask a question, say, I'm Scott, I live here, I do this. What would you say with regards to my situation? And then AI can take everything that the expert has created in their knowledge base and orchestrate an answer that's bespoke for that person, which is amazing. It's one of the great kind of evolutions of this new era.
So Scott, I can already see a situation in which you're building this for Jess, in the agent that speaks in her voice, and no matter what somebody asks Jess's agent, she will say, "Have you spoken to the customer? Is this a good idea to do X and Y?" Just to be like, "Have you spoken to the customer?" And then like I could just see like Jess, like your agent, like really like just hammering this into the CEOs, and then they're kind of like going back to their team and being like, we haven't done this, have we? Because Jess is saying we haven't. So just an idea going forward.
Oh boy, I'm that predictable. Because funny enough, I literally just had a conversation a few hours ago where I basically told someone that, as the marketer, as the brand, like we don't have the answers, our customers do. So go to them.
Yeah, well, so imagine this as a next step, though. It's one thing, like you may read that she says that too if you read a post of Jess's, but imagine if someone follows up on that post and says, hey, I live in South Florida. I'm in a role where, I only interact with people during the night shift. How could I get, feedback from my customers? Her AI, if she's ever commented on anything like that, her AI can share that perspective that she commented on with that other person. Or if she could upload it custom, etc., and someone can actually get her advice on their unique situation. I would also say that in the rare instance that her agent has no answer, if you're on an LLM, it'll make something up, right?
Yeah.
It'll
So
say,
go to
"What?
Reddit.
Try this.
Yeah.
Great question."
Reddit article that got upvoted 3,000 times.
If you're on a RAG-based system, the administrators of that RAG-based AI can instruct the AI to admit that it doesn't have context to answer that question, which is surprisingly refreshing, to be honest. So in this situation, if someone asked Jess's AI about a night shift and how do you track down customers, and there was nothing she'd ever captured or collected or created that would answer that, it would admit that. And then on our platform, it would send her an alert. Hey, Jess, someone just asked a question that your AI couldn't accurately answer. How do you want to weigh in?
So let's talk about some of the trust factors you're building into this. So when we're asking Jess's AI some questions and she immediately comes back with an answer, and you already hit on this a little bit because maybe it doesn't know the answer, maybe it's thinking, maybe it's trying to get there, but trust, attention spans, like you can come like really quick, and then like someone might be like, well, I'm not sure about that, it was like really quick on me. Or if you build it out and it's more of like a thoughtful process that takes more time, then you work with our 1.2 second attention spans that we have across digital media. So do you have a balance you're thinking about right now, Scott, as trust, attention spans, getting to the right answer quick, or staying more human? Like, is there like, I'm sure this is a learning you're going through, but do you have like a way you can just like talk through like the balances of that on your end?
Well, it's interesting in the world of normal media, like when you're producing content and you want people to engage with it, you do measure time span of attention. When we're dealing with somebody who might have a bespoke question of Jess's AI in this case, giving them the direct answer is really the best thing you can possibly do. They'll come back when they have a need again, but you're fulfilling that need in a succinct way. That's pretty incredible. One thing we have been experimenting with, and then as we started experimenting with it about a year ago, all the LLMs started experimenting with this as well, is you can certainly give an answer and then offer 3 follow-on questions. If the person who's learning wants to extend the conversation but doesn't have the exact question in mind, you can recommend 3 potential questions. And that person might go, ooh, I didn't even think of question number 2, but that I do want to know that. And all they have to do is click on it, and then that extends the engagement. But I do think it's important to say it's not the goal in this case. The goal is to give a great answer to whoever's looking to learn from Jess's AI.
And with that, can I answer the question? Because
Yeah.
now I do want to put it out there. I would ask, or I would recommend the person that's working the night shift to focus on the transition or the handover from when they're coming in and looking and observing the employees, the space, like, are they hearing anything? Maybe something happened. Maybe there was a customer interaction that happened earlier. It's causing a bit of a buzz. So just honing in on those conversations.
Love
That's
it,
where
love
I'd
it, love
start.
it. Well, and what I would offer is your answer right there is based on you, the way your brain works, your unique view of the world, etc. And someone's not going to get that answer by going to ChatGPT. They're not. So that right there is an example of the value of being able to try to, chase down the human that you're looking to learn from and find some way, any way to learn from them. Yeah.
So let's talk about like tones of voice and all of that good stuff. So like Jess and I, we've had a number of creators, influencers, thought leaders on this show, and I think Jess, one thing that we learned really quickly is they have big personalities, and that's the difference. When Jess and I advise thought leaders like, "Hey, I'm an executive and I want to post on LinkedIn more," it can't be just like regurgitated executive talk. Like it will get lost. And it doesn't mean you have to take risks either. It just means you have to have some sort of unique way that you're speaking to people. And that's the one thing I'd be most curious about, Scott, is now we're talking about the AI now kind of taking the knowledge that you're putting out there. Does it also inherently take the personality, the tone of voice, like things that that they would say? Like if I were, we make a joke about now the McDonald's CEO, Scott K, would he be saying that it's a product, that you want to try our our new product today, because that's something that sounds like he would say in his videos.
Yeah.
So how would you go about that?
Part of it's baked in. So if he were to create, an AI agent on a platform like ours, we usually recommend that he builds a knowledge base of anything he's created, collected, or captured. Created is anything you've written or like PowerPoint or anything like that. Collected is articles or works from other people that you curate and say, that's something I believe in, and I quote that person a lot. And the last one is captured, which could be his podcasts, his talks, anytime he's shared his advice. If that's the basis of a knowledge base, then when the AI goes and grabs context from that knowledge base in order to answer the question, it's absolutely going to grab his favorite like ways of describing things. So the personality comes through is one thing I'd say. The other thing I'd say is early on, we had the opportunity to say, well, what if I want to customize the tone of voice to sound like a pirate or to sound like a professor or to sound like, any which way. So we built that in so that the expert feels they've got a lot of control over it. Not only tone, but also length of answer, like long, short answers, things like that. The way I respond if I don't know, those are all things that represent a perspective of a unique expert. And then I would say, if you tweak something, you'll probably want to try it out. Right? If you're the expert and you're like, I've just created the perfect tone, then you'll want to try it out. So in the beginning, we just had experts like creating their own identity and interacting with their agent. Now we've built a sandbox within the expert dashboard, so you can go crazy trying it out, ask the craziest questions ever. Nothing's captured or saved. You just get to see how your agent answers. And it's a little different than classic tuning. It's a little bit more, it's just a little bit more trial and error in creating the right tone of voice and personality of your AI agent.
I love this. This is making me think of when people like set their Siri or the what is it, the map, the Google Maps on their
Alexa.
cars, and and they have like different voices, and there is something to that where it does, like, funny enough, it does make it more personal.
Yeah.
To like both the creator, but then also to the person that's trying to experience the information.
Absolutely.
So we're getting close to wrapping this up, Scott. I've already thought of a lot of great ideas for this. Like, I really want to create Jess's bot now going forward. Like, I feel like we have enough data if we uploaded, Scott, every single podcast we've done.
Yep.
Like, if we took, I sent you all the transcripts, like everything. Would that, I mean, you would have like hundreds of hours of us talking. Like, I feel like we have more than enough, right, to create Jess's bot right now.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how far that goes into making for great answers. We were surprised. I mean, in the beginning, this just started out as a thought experiment, but it goes quite far. And then knowing that Jess has control over if there's ever not enough context to give an answer, that she'll get alerted. She can kind of continually
Interesting.
update her knowledge base as well.
I love it. And that really like leads us into how we want to really conclude this. And it takes us back to the really human side of things. So we did in our rapid fire answers, Scott, we obviously hit on a lot of what is real, what is kind of real, what is like super AI'd and inauthentic. But as people try to find that voice right now, what is something that they can make a small maybe tweak or do something this week to sound more like themselves on social? So I want to post on LinkedIn. I want to be authentic. I want to sound like myself. And I just want to do this thing that gives us some good positive impact. Where would you begin advising someone to do this?
All right, so let's just accept the fact that we're all probably going to want to use AI from here forward in some way when we're going to write a post to go online. You've got a choice. You can either leverage AI to do it for you, or you can leverage AI to help you do it. And if you think of it that way, a great way to leverage AI to help you do it is to write your own first draft, as hard as it may be, and then leverage AI as a thought partner. Say, hey, AI, how can I make this better? And then tell it you want 3 options for making it better. As long as you're at the center of the decision making when it recommends potential enhancements, for example, then it will still really sound authentically you. This works great with LLMs. It'll probably also work great with Jess's bot when we create it.
Yep, just as AI. We're gonna. This is a thing now, so we will owe you all of those transcripts and video content, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But no, this was exciting, Scott, because I haven't thought of it really in this way before. I've heard some of the ideas of essentially taking a thought leader and making them somewhat of a bot, adding on to some of the stuff they're doing already, but I haven't heard it spoken in the way you're thinking about it and all the different instances and how this comes about. And then also, of course, talking about how you can take some of this content and influence it into your day-to-day. So super interesting, and it's got really the hamster wheel turning, Scott. So we will be excited to see how Answers From Me comes about over the coming months and years and just continue this AI to human discussion. We're very, very appreciative of your time.
Well, it's awesome to be with you guys, and I love your show. I tune in, and we'll see who you have in future weeks. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Thank you for joining, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
All right.
That's it. Bye.
Bye now.
So just this conversation actually took me down a rabbit hole a little bit, my mind, because it's interesting because the whole generative AI and, some of the AI that Scott's talking about would be definitely like another level that I haven't tapped into. But start thinking about like this instance of like being able to talk to something and tell it to do something. I have 2 instances for you of where that started for me. The first was on AOL Instant Messenger. Were you familiar with Smarter Child? The original chatbot? Yeah, AOL AIM had Smarter Child, and it would have conversations with you. And I think it used to freak all the parents out because this was in like the early 2000s, and you could ask it all kinds of questions. It would get kind of witty and go back and forth with you. Not near as advanced, but there was a form of this.
I was a major AOL user. I mean, I still I miss the sound of when you would do the dial-up and that noise and the dinging. It's like so nostalgic. But no, I used it to chat a lot, and I never knew about that.
Yeah, you could have conversations with Smarter Child. Yep, look it up. And then the other one, it was weird, but it would get stuck in loops all the time. Because early days chatbots, they get stuck in this cycle and they don't know what to do. The other one is I used to freak my teachers out in high school because I would show this to them and try to get them to show it to the class. Burger King did something called the subservient chicken. And what it was, is it was a guy dressed up in a chicken costume, and he was on one of those old school grainy webcams. You would type into the subservient chicken what you wanted it to do. Be like, I want you to jump, and it would jump. And it was really someone being filmed doing all these commands. And then if it didn't know the command, it would just default to him like putting its hands to the side, like, I don't know what to do. But I was like, this is really interesting. Like, we can tell this person on screen what to do. And so, like, there's so many like goofy instances of this stuff existing before we even had like a business purpose for it that I feel like it's being implemented in a much more strategic manner now.
I can't believe Burger King was ahead of its time.
Yep.
Literally, now with the AI video, the capabilities, I feel like you could easily create that with
Yeah.
AI.
Bring the
And look at what
subservient
they
chicken
were.
back. Yeah. Look these up for our listeners too. If you're bored, look it up and like go through a history lesson. You might have to go into like the depths of Reddit to learn about it, but they got it covered. So what I've learned, if there's anything, Jess, like if you want a quick history lesson on something, just punch it into Reddit. It might be user generated, it might be users talking about it, but you'll learn a lot in a very short span of time.
Yes, but now what we're hearing from Scott, I mean, is it bots? Is it real? Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of fake going on.
Yeah.
It's gonna be wild to see, but where I have so much optimism, like I'm so glad we spoke with Scott today. Like
Yep.
really needed to hear his thought process because again, I feel like we are just surrounded by fake, like it's coming in just the walls are coming in and there's going to be a breakthrough and I think he's at that tension point right now, so to hear that he really just seeing like what's happening in the market, that people are going to revert back to this
Yeah.
one-on-one connection, like what does it mean to really connect and to use AI as a true thought partner and a partner to learn more from a real human is so exciting
Yeah.
to me. And I
Am
know
I
that
like bone to pick on this with a lot of just, I dabble in the world of B2B SaaS or like B2B tech companies, but I don't really specialize in it on my day to day. So, but still the thing when I've always seen when I dabbled is like I've been point blank asked, Andy, we have an AI product, how do we market it? And I'm like, I can't tell you that. Like I can tell you some creative best practices, but if you don't know what your AI product is doing in the conversation of AI, that's the fundamental problem. And I feel like Answers for Me tackles that because they're explaining exactly why you use the product. The product is the product, but the marketing is how it helps us one to one. So if you're doing product marketing, you're like, we have an AI product. That's just not, it's white noise at this point. It's not resonating. So you have to find a reason that someone wants to use it, whether it's consumer or the B2B side.
yes, I'm going to go back to my bot here. I mean, this is truly the move from B2B to B2P. So product to people. It all comes back to people. So
Yeah.
it's not about what your product can do, how cool your product is, you being a cool brand. It's all about being interested in what the people that are consuming your product really need. What are
Yeah.
their beliefs? What are their values? What are they challenged with?
Yeah.
Where are they trying to go? And if you get that, then the brand will sell itself.
Yeah.
It's providing the value to the people. It's all people.
And the advantage is something like Answers for Me or a lot of these, companies that are just getting their feet wet and they're like really getting going or getting more aggressive in their markets, is that angle is really open to you right now. Like it's open for you to test. Like you can learn this right now, but like if you get really big one day somehow, or you start to grow and you start having demands for how much return on investment you need to have, then these companies get a little more scared to even like test these things. So especially if there's like early founders, like early days companies listening, test and get that stuff right now. Because if you have a little bit of an open sandbox that gives you the ability to do it, I think the other player in the game that has the open sandbox are like, we'll say the Coca-Colas or the Apples of the world. Their brand is so big that they can't mess it up overnight. So that actually gives you more avenue to test. That actually lets you test more than some of these middle big players because it's hard to mess the whole thing up. So I think early and really big, they have like a window where they can figure out what people want to hear about AI and not have as much risk as maybe like, hey, we're trying to turn our company public right now, and then you don't have the leeway to do as much as you want.
And Scott touched on this many times throughout rapid fire, and as he was discussing the vision and where he's going, the trust. I mean, the trust is really what's capturing him more than attention, and the way that he's framing things, it's not just about the creator. Yes, he is ensuring that the creator has that trust in how they are presenting their brain, their thought process, their critical thinking. But it really does come down to helping those people that are consuming that thought process, that brain, get to where they need to be
go.
and in what they need to learn in order to succeed themselves. So this is not about the creator, again, being cool or looking like they're super smart and intelligent. It's really about helping those consuming the creator's critical thinking.
And I'm glad that this is more of a text space, like a chat operation. The one thing I don't know if I'll ever get there, Jess. Like the chatting I like. Like I could ask like Gary V's bot, what would he do in this situation? It's kind of fun and like it'd be insightful. The one thing I can't get to though is if you try to do this as an actual human talking to you. Like you're asking it questions and it's not that person. I don't know if I'm ever going to get there, Jess. That's like my breaking point is the artificial humans that are having conversations with you. Like not as a bot, but as a text bot, but it's actually physically me like trying to have a conversation. And they have that like blank stare and they wait for your response and then they start talking. Like that gets me too close to Skynet. That's where I get scared a little bit, Jess.
Well, maybe it will help you ask the questions you want to ask, be more real when the time comes for those real one-on-one connections.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it with some of our like the influencers we've had on this show. Like I could see this like world where they have their versions of them, and I kind of know exactly what direction like a Courtney or a Brad, like I know where they're gonna go with it probably, and that kind of I guess gives it a vibe if they ever did that.
Oh well, you know what I'm thinking too. It does have the potential to give people courage to get over again, like asking a smart question or like what would be the right question. You know, it may, if you start with the AI presence, like using the person's brain trust and their knowledge, the creators, it just may allow you to get over that fear and realize that when you do get that opportunity to talk to a real person, regardless of title, regardless of what they do, they're just a person. They're just another human. They can be relatable, that they go through the same things that we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we need to just test it. This is one I really want to test with Scott. So down the line, I'd be like, if you need any just like beta testers to like kind of like see how this works with someone, I just love to see it in action. Cause this one is like really curious ones for me that I want to just kind of, see if I can run into a wall too. Like what happens when we've programmed chatbots in the past. Like we try to like really see if we could get it stuck. and what happens when it gets stuck. So I like that he's just flat out, hey, I don't know the answer. That's perfect. If he does that, that like ends that loop rather than getting it stuck and like going crazy trying to figure out what to do when you're asking it like these really interesting things. And they could even, like he said, he could have like Andy AI, Jess AI talk as a pirate, so we could have some fun interactions with it.
Yes, I do love that.
Yeah.
And I, you know what I'm gonna say? I love the person that wants to take the information in from a pirate. I mean, that's a person I actually want to talk to.
That'd be a selling point.
Yes.
But we're right at time for the day, Jess, and good to get back on it. We do have, for those in my email box the last few days, we do have a bundle of guests reaching out, Jess. Like, I have like several wanting to come on the show, so we're kind of trying to line up what that looks like. And I'd love to get some influencers on here again, because I'd like to just point blank ask, like, how would you feel about this? And I might reach out to some of our influencer friends as well, but we should be rocking and rolling headed into spring here. Warmer weather, some nice brand discussion, some AI. So we'll see what we have up our sleeves next. But until then, thank you, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
See you, everyone.